When you hear the word Mongols, you may think of nomadic tribes of war-hardened people, but nowadays there are plenty that live in cities, most notably the capital. Here are the stadiums and arenas of Ulaanbaatar. AIC Steppe Arena. Of all the Mongolian ice hockey arenas, this one... What the heck is that noise? Okay, that does make sense because this is situated in an area on the outskirts of the city, where the wild asses roam. I don't know if that was an ass. Perhaps he was a nice bloke. This arena is situated right by the old airport, which is now only semi-operational. Interestingly, the company that were in charge of getting this project sorted were helped along by the Embassy of Canada in finding a suitable architect and whatnot. Which makes sense. You know, a hockey barn is to the Canadians as an actual barn is to the Amish. And by that I'm not suggesting that Canadians run puppy mills out of their hockey arenas. They just have the right connections. As you may have noticed from the sign out front, the arena was visited by the Pope, who was heard commenting on the arena as follows: "It's a beautiful place. The ice is as smooth as a baby's bottom. And let me tell you, I've seen my fair share of baby's bottoms." Bit weird? MFF Football Center. At first I assumed that MFF stood for motherfucking football. But then I remembered that they have their own language here, and the most common second language is Russian. So to use an English phrase in the title of a football stadium seems unlikely, let alone such a crude phrase. Further doubt set in when I realized that this is in fact the home of the Mongolian Football Federation. So it probably, yeah. The most elite football in the country takes place here, as it acts as the home of several top tier clubs, and second tier clubs, and third tier clubs, and the national teams. So if ever there were a football ground that could justify installing an artificial turf field, it's this one. I can't imagine how bad a natural grass field would look. The climate alone makes it a challenge. The fake turf also ensures that the wild asses don't graze here. But yeah, this seems like a solid little stadium. Next door we have the National Sports Stadium, which is the largest stadium in the country. As you may have guessed by the fact that there are not one but two different stages here, this is a versatile venue. In fact, football makes up just a small part of the stadium's schedule. It hosts concerts, festivals, archery, rugby, athletics, and probably some horse stuff. The most notable of the festivals is Nardan, which celebrates Mongolian independence. It is pretty remarkable that Mongolia has managed to remain independent and democratic, given that it's sandwiched between Russia and China. I guess it acts as a bit of a buffer state. And maybe the ghost of Genghis Khan is protecting it. Speaking of Russia, this stadium was built by a Russian construction company back in 1958. Whilst the surrounds have changed a lot since those days, the stadium hasn't really. Although in 1958, the seats and the field weren't made of plastic. Nearby is Buyant Ukar Sport Palace, which was built using a $20 million grant from China, and was built by the Shanghai Construction Group. So it seems there is a three-horse race to garner influence in Mongolia, between Russia, China, and Canada. There have been concerns in the past that Canada might actually instigate a coup and install their own puppet leader. The Chinese might have buyer's remorse though, as the Dalai Lama visited this place in 2016. In all seriousness, they were actually genuinely pissed off, because, you know, they deem him to be some kind of separatist. That's why he lives in India now. Jeez, there's been a lot of geopolitics in this video. Anyway, it seems that non-sporting purposes dominate the calendar here. But it is the home of the Mongolian futsal team, if that means anything to you. Bokyan Ergu. In English, that name means wrestling palace. And they're not talking about SmackDown, it's traditional Mongolian wrestling. Some of the outfits are made from yak down though. Nice and warm. This sport is more akin to sumo than WWE, in every way other than the physiques of the wrestler. There are some man boobs, but it's not the norm. Fittingly, the architecture reflects traditional Mongolia. Firstly, it's shaped like a yurt, or a gur as they call them here. There are also plenty of ancient Mongolian motifs about the place. And of course there is the obligatory portrait of Genghis Khan. Much like how a lot of white people claim to be a distant relative of Shakespeare's or Napoleon's or the inventor of the chicken nuggets, a lot of Mongolians claim to be related to Genghis Khan. The only difference is they're not lying. Now for some honourable mentions. Heram Stadium is over in a more industrial part of town. In fact, it's situated right next to a huge coal-fired thermal power plant, the largest in the country, which contributes to the city having some of the world's worst air quality. I can't imagine what it's like to play football here in the middle of winter. Let's just say your lungs are gonna yurt. GMobile Arena, which is presumably named after the GMobile tribe, is a small green rectangle that looks very lonely way out in the arid outskirts of the city. This is what the place looked like just a few years ago, before the ground was built. So there you have it. Time to pick a favourite. Although the ice arena is probably the best equipped, I'm gonna go for the MFF. Just cause. I would now like to improvise a culturally insensitive Mongolian tune. Yak, yakety yak, yakety yakety yak, yak, yakety yak, yakety yakety yak. Thanks for watching, have a good one.